When I wake up at night, I gotta know the time. Can I sleep some more? Out of bed I climb. Check throughout my workday, counting down to lunch. Looking at my wrist all day, checking the time a bunch. It's not just about the time, it's part of my identity. The character of the design, exhibiting my complexity. The colors, my mood. Rushed out the house without it, I'm screwed. Without my watch, feel nude. It's part of my life, it's who I am. I'm a big time watch lover, a huge ass fan. I know my phone has a clock, but I don't care. My phone lacks the flair. My watch shows my personality, my individuality. My interest in love, I keep buying more to satisfy my urges. I can't stop collecting, overspending splurges. Emptying the bank, now I got too many payments on Sezzle services. Quartz or auto, and yeah, you need to win the lotto to buy some complications. You spend a little, you spend a lot chasing your grails and buying what's hot. Put on your diver or dress watch today. Classy for the office or rugged to play.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Spotlight Watch Review. My name is Jim, and today we're going to be taking a look at the RGMT Altimeter Skeleton. If you've ever stared longingly at an aircraft's altimeter and thought, yeah, I'd strap that on my wrist and wear that, well, welcome aboard. The RGMT Altimeter Skeleton is a bold, unapologetically industrial timepiece that blends cockpit charm with ground-level affordability. How about that? And that's one thing that RGMT has been just knocking them out of the park. Great designs, solid belt watches, and a really, really solid value. Everything is super inexpensive. It's like Bell & Ross had a less uptight, slightly rebellious cousin who still knows how to dress for the hangar party. The RGMT Altimeter Skeleton doesn't just borrow design cues from the aviation world, it kind of ransacks the entire instrument panel and throws it all out there. You've got a really funky overall look. Yeah, it's going to be super easy to tell that this is aircraft inspired when somebody sees it on your wrist. But for some others, you might still have to explain things a little bit. Hey, it was inspired by aircraft gauges. Now, one thing that I appreciate about this is the fact that you've got a skeletonized 82 series Miyota movement inside, and the dial is a see-through tinted dial that allows you to see into the movement. And I think for a lot of us, we take the beauty of skeletonized movements for granted, just because if we've been collecting long enough, we've seen a lot of them. And we might be, kind of jaded. And while there's nothing wrong with that, it's just kind of a shame that we can never re-experience things with new eyes ever again, Because there was a time when you could buy a watch, and if you saw into the movement, even just through an exhibition case back, and all you saw was the top plate and rotor, it got you excited. You're like, man, this is something wildly different. Because as a kid, you always had quartz watches. There was nothing exciting about those. Or maybe you had digital watches. You get into your first few mechanicals and automatics, and when you get the opportunity to see into the movement, and then further into it when the movement is skeletonized and you can actually see that coiled up mainspring in the barrel, and you can see part of the gear train, it's kind of exciting. And nowadays, yeah, okay. But hopefully you're still in that phase of collecting where you can appreciate that. Because there is a beauty to seeing the symphony that's going on underneath the dial of every mechanical watch. Watching all of these gears and jewels and little arms interacting with one another in perfect time to create the time. It really is a modern marvel, even though you're going back a few hundred years with most of the technology that we see. Now, of course, there has been some ridiculous innovation, but honestly, most people don't need, minute repeaters and wandering hours and jump hours and crazy complications. Most people just want the time of day or time of day and date. We're pretty simple creatures when it comes down to it. If Belen Ross is the sharply dressed co pilot sipping espresso in a Gulf Stream, RGMT is the maverick in a bomber jacket flying vintage warbirds. Now, one thing I want to warn you about here is the size. This is a big ass watch. They're calling it a 46 millimeter case, and it may be if you just measure from like 12 to 6. But when you're dealing with squares, rectangulars, tonneaus, you can't just give the case diameter because it's not perfectly round. Getting into these shapes, it's going to wear larger. If you're not comfortable wearing a 48 millimeter round cased watch, I wouldn't suggest this for you because that's what it's going to wear like. Now, to give you an idea, this is what they're saying is 46 millimeters. I'm going to take off the watch that I'm wearing today, which is a Cadola, which was either 43 or 44 millimeters. I'm having a hard time remembering right now. And you see there is a substantial size difference between the two. Now, I want to go ahead and put this on the wrist so that you can see precisely what I'm talking about. Yeah, so honestly, this wears like a 48 to 50. Here's the thing, though. None of the edges that you're looking at that appear to be sharp edges, they're not sharp edges at all. I don't know what edges are. They're not sharp edges at all. You've got very short lugs, so your lug to lug length isn't all that bad. I think it's something like 48 millimeters when I measured it. I'm not going to come out and say this is the most comfortable watch you can get your hands on, but for a big watch, it's not uncomfortable at all. It doesn't wear like a frying pan. The ergonomics, again, are surprisingly smooth. And at 13 millimeters thick, it'll actually slip under most jacket sleeves, flight suits excluded. The 22 millimeter lug width is what's going to allow you a whole world of strap changes. I like the strap that's on here because it goes from very wide to an immediate taper and gets thinner down to the buckle, making this very, very large watch much more comfortable. If this were 22 millimeters all the way down and it didn't taper down like it does, I don't know that I would want to wear it. Okay, we're not going to make a huge deal about this because, again, this is a see-through acrylic dial. It's a skeletonized movement. It's not a dive watch. It's not meant to be super crazy, ridiculously loomy, but I think we can achieve a good degree here. Break out a flashlight. Not going to spend a lot of time charging it up, but there you go. And let's see what happens. Now, I think that is a good, effective bit of loom. Very easy to make out the time. And I love the fact that what they did was they gave you a silhouette of each hour marker and then just a silhouette of the hands. I like that look. It's a handsome look and it doesn't impede time telling. I can still read this quick at a glance, see very quickly what time it is, and move on with my day. Now, it's not going to last forever. You don't have a very thick and large application of the luminescence, but I think it's just enough to get you through the night. This is one that I have not worn to bed, so I'm not sure exactly how long the loom is going to last. But when I set it down the other night, I had it sitting next to the bedside Woke up a couple of times around 1, 2 in the morning, and I was still able to pretty much read it without an issue. So for me, that's probably going to work out just fine. I'm getting older. I ain't up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning anymore. So I think that'll do me just fine. Keep in mind, you're looking at all 316L stainless steel. So you do have a high degree of corrosion resistance. It's a good, solid steel. It's pretty much what the industry standard is, pretty much what everybody uses. 13 millimeters in thickness. Lugs are 22 millimeters in width. And yes, that crystal is sapphire. So if you're wondering, am I going to get the premium goods here for this price? Yeah, believe it or not, you're not doing too bad. Now, like I said, I haven't worn this as much as my other square RGMT, the Pershing Automatic, because there's just something about the Pershing being a little bit more compact that I really enjoy. Now, obviously, I don't dislike large watches. We've discussed this in the past, but I do have a limit. I like to be 42 to 44 millimeters on average, pushing it to 46 sometimes. And if it's something super special, I'll go a little bit larger. So in this case, this won't be a daily wear. It's a pretty hefty watch for being on a strap, and it's really, really large. And while it's not uncomfortable, you do realize that you're wearing it. And in a day and age where it's so easy to go out and buy watches made of titanium and to buy so many different sizes of watches and even materials like carbon and things like that for your cases, we're getting more and more used to wearing lighter weight watches, regardless of the size. But sometimes feeling a little bit of extra weight on there may be something that you don't appreciate on an everyday basis. But for a weekend warrior, this is an excellent choice. It's going to be an occasional wear, not nearly as often as my Pershing, not nearly as often as many of my watches, but still, I think, worthy of having in the collection. Thank you guys for joining me as always, and I'll see you on the next video.